panticito ese booty lo rellena. En la disco perrea, no tiene pena, le gusta que la vean. Esa Vibin como escena. El panticito ese booty lo rellena. Y ahora me llama porque quiere que yo esté en su cama.
Welcome to the first 𝖠 episode of Bueno with 𝖬𝗎yi𝗂diِ. For those that don't know, my name is 𝖬𝗎yiRdiِ, and I'm so excited to finally get this podcast started because, woo! If you know, you know. I've been wanting to get this podcast started for over a year now. Y la neta plan no se me hacía because the whole concept of this podcast, honestly, is to create a space where we can talk about all types of experiences, the fun ones, the in-between, the bad ones, because life is all about balance and what we do with what we go through at the end of the day. And I didn't feel right to even start this podcast and invite all these people and be like, oh yeah, come share your story, when I myself hadn't done so. And I want to say this is a big shout out to my therapist Kelly, because ultimately she really helped me grow to love this story and this learning experiences that I went through. So if you guys know, I was in a very abusive and toxic relationship for a very long time, and it took me honestly 2 years to really get rid of the shame and the guilt, and honestly the big thing and the embarrassment that I had towards myself, because ■ decirles, I had found more compassion for him at the end of our relationship for the ways he treated me, because I understood him, but I couldn't find that same compassion within myself. And it took me 2 years to finally do it. And I'm gonna take you guys back to the first time I met him. So I was 19 when I first met him, and 19-year-old me thought she knew love, but she didn't. She just really wanted to be loved. She struggled with codependency, people-pleasing tendencies, low self-worth, and also thinking validation meant more when others gave it to me than when I give it to myself. And that's where ultimately, you guys, I have to take accountability for. And I do want to make it really clear in a disclaimer that I'm not here to shame my ex-partner. That's not what I'm here for, because it takes two to tango. And if anything, I'm grateful to have gone through this, because this is where I'm at today because of it. When I was 19, I found myself with this man, and I even thought things were gonna get better at one point. I thought everything he would do was normal, because it was my normal. I was so used to chaos and I didn't even realize it. And a lot of people around me were also experiencing the same thing, that I thought it was normal. And for those that don't know, I'm going to share an example. So codependency, in my case, in my relationship, most of the time was I honestly would push down my feelings as long as he was okay. If he wasn't okay, then I had to fix him. I really thought that I could fix him. I thought I was a mechanic. I thought let me tweak this, I was really sipping on that dumb bitch juice. Let me just say, ooh, I don't think I could, but whoopsie. And I remember this one time when I had first found out when he was cheating on me. I had first found out, and I remember getting so angry, because people can vouch this, if you were in my life at that time, I couldn't go out. And for him, it was an issue for me to have friends, to have family, to spend time with them outside of my relationship, because to him, it was, if you have time for them, then you have time for me. And I thought that was normal. I really thought that was normal. And obviously it isn't. Let me just make that clear. It's not. And so when I found out he was cheating on me, that honestly made me so upset, because here I was respecting our relationship when he himself wasn't doing it, And I remember that day I had told him, we're done, and he made this big scandalo. And in my mind, I just wanted to jump in and just be like, okay, whatever, we'll forget about it. But it really wasn't that, because even that tweaked something in me that I didn't realize. I like to call it my shadow side. And honestly, you guys, he ultimately made me angry, and I was so angry, and I was so vengeful at that moment. Like, don't get me wrong, I según had forgave him because I wanted to forgive him because he, like I said, he did this big scandalo, and I just wanted to calm the scandalo down and según forget about it, and we were gonna move on. When we were moving on, según he kept doing it, and this is where codependency came in. That I didn't know how to be alone, and I still wanted to be with him. I really did still want to be with him, but I was still angry that I myself ended up cheating, and I'm not proud of that, but I did. I cheated on him, thinking that was like, oh, you want to play games on me? Like, I'm going to show you how to play games, and I'm going to, ultimately, según yo, I'm going to show you how it's played. But I had a choice. I could have left him, but I never did, and that's what I mean. I knew that the cheating I was doing on the side, I knew with that person, it was just that. It was never what I wanted, and what I wanted was to be with someone because I didn't know how to be alone. I really didn't. I needed to always be with someone. But I couldn't even go to a store alone. Like, I had to go with someone to be okay. And so I would stay with him. I would cheat on him. We were both cheating on each other, and we were still together. That's what I mean. Like, it was my ex-partner, myself, and then codependency. Oh, little baby. But that's not... I laugh about this because it's just funny to think about it like now, but it's not how you run a relationship, obviously. And we ended up taking a break. So when I was 21, I was single, and I met this group of people, and honestly was doing everything my ex-partner didn't allow me to do, and I'm so grateful to have done it because I needed to. 21-year-old me did need to go out and have fun. And my ex-partner, he had to go through some lessons that it's his thing to share, not mine. And after he had gone through all those things, when I had turned 22, me vino a buscar. And he had seemed to be changed, and I had thought I had changed in some sense, I was barely starting to kind of understand that. And my friend Areni said it best, like, the highs were fun, like going out and having fun, but the lows were really low. And I was tired of feeling really low when I was alone, And I remember I was reading these books, and I had read a book called Set Boundaries and Find Peace. And I was just beginning to start this book called It Didn't Start With You. And es cuando me vino a buscar. Les digo, me vino a buscar, y yo dije, oh, like, it was meant for us, it was meant for me. Like, my head went to Delulu right away. Like, I really thought we were gonna be, like, forever. That was my mindset, because I really, aside from all the abuse and everything that had gone, like, the first part of our relationship, I really just thought it was a phase. I thought that this is just a phase, and it's gonna get better, and things are gonna get better. When, honestly, you guys, when I got back with him, y les digo esto because honestly, during that break, I really blamed myself. I was like, had I not cheated, I was like, we would have been together. But in my mind, you guys, like, I couldn't connect. He cheated on me first, but I still blamed myself for that. Like, I blamed myself for him cheating on me. I blamed myself for cheating. I blamed myself. I had so much blame towards myself that I didn't even think to blame him. And so when we got back together, we talked about everything. And I thought things were good. Like, he wasn't doing the things he would used to do. So I was like, everything's great. Ooh la la la. Ooh la la, según yo, Delulu land. And until it was 3 months into a relationship when I realized things were starting to go back to our normal. It was so difficult because a part of me was still, ahora sí yo estaba un poco más machita, because I had read books that honestly me despertaron un poquito, pero no me quitaron todo el blindfold. So I was like this, peeping in between, but I still couldn't see correctly because I was still there. And a lot of the same things happened, but to a little bit more extreme extent the second time we were together. And honestly, I don't regret getting back with him because he helped me grow my relationship with God. I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, but has become my cup of tea, and I'm so grateful for it because I needed that. And when I ultimately called it quits, it was really because, like, I remember he had came and stayed with me, and I was like, woo, family, we gotta pretend play family and all this stuff. And la verdad, la neta, uy, no me gustó la vida, because I was seeing, like, I was gonna be a married single woman, and if I were to marry this man, if I were to create life with this man, this would be my life. And that's not what I want. Like, let me make that clear. I do not want that. And when I saw I wasn't getting that, I was like, oh no. Like, to even tell you guys, like, the last night we spent together, I was like crying to him, like, can you just break up with me? Like, leave me, because I couldn't leave him. So I thought if he could leave me, I would leave him alone. Like, that was my mind process and everything. And he wouldn't. Like, I'm sure en ese tiempo dijo, esta vida me va a gustar, pero a mí no me gustaba. Y yo me puse a pensar, if I create life with this man, like, what am I teaching? I'm just repeating a cycle. I'm just repeating the whole cycle of everything that I don't want my kids to ever see. And I was like, what am I teaching my daughter? Like, that it's okay to cheat on your partner, that it's okay to have a partner that cheats on you and abuses you in all forms. Like, is that really okay? Like, did I really want to set that example? And I was getting the answers on no, you know. So I ended up ending things, and by this time I'm already 23, right? And I remember I wanted to go back so bad. When I broke up with him, it didn't feel like the same way I felt like the other times we would end things and get back together. I felt like, no, like, I'm not going back. As much as I was crying so much because I really wanted to believe this fantasy that was never a fantasy to begin with. Mind you guys, this is in September, and I spent a whole month just crying. And I wanted to go back to the old. I wanted to go to the high, like, to go have fun. And I was doing that ultimately for that time being. But once again, the lows were really low. And through therapy, I didn't acknowledge this at this moment until my therapist asked me what was my it. And I never realized that. I just remember, like, being like, you know what, I'm done feeling like this, and I'm gonna get up and me voy a poner las pilas, ultimately, you know. And to tell you guys that my it in that time, I remember, like, one of those nights I was just bawling my eyes out. I couldn't even get up. I didn't want to do anything. And I felt like I was 19. Like, mentally me sentía 19 because I was in the same situation with the same person, in the same room, and in the same apartment. And I had to change. My life from 19 to 23 didn't change at all. I was back again. And that's when I was like, wait. Hasta me paré de la cama. Dije, wait a minute. I'm not 19. And I had to connect that I'm 23. And I have to change. Like, I have to ultimately allow this experience, this horrible experiences, be the reason I do better for myself. And I ended up getting my own place. So this is where we're at. This is where we're recording our first video, my first place. And in this space, I had prayed about it, and I asked for it, and I said, give me this place, and I will truly sit there and allow myself to be in my own company and allow myself to be alone and to really fall in love with myself. And I will do that, and I will work for it. And that's when that's what I was doing, and I'm still doing, you know, because life is all about learning, and you never stop growing and learning. And when I got this place, it was the first time I was ever alone, and like ever in my lifetime. This place had been my first alone moment, and I was so grateful for it, because that's when I started reading more. Like, I remember stepping into this book called This Is Me Letting You Go, because I would still be sad about my partner, but I wasn't in the same apartment I was antes. I was in a new one and I was still feeling the same, and that was okay because I was allowing myself to feel it. And I had finished the book, It Didn't Start With You, that honestly opened me to a different realm. And then I felt like I was still stuck. Like I felt like that saying where like your book in the shelf and you'll get to later on, kind of. And that's what I was, because I went back to feeling high again, like wanting to go out and not to feel too much. And that's when I found my therapist, and my therapist really helped me through it all. Like helped me understand the whole process, and helped me really, like I said, find compassion for myself. That's when I read another book called Psychopaths Free, and this also brought a lot of emotions back, and like I was like, oh, I'm starting to get angry again. But it opened me to a different realm, and I'll link the books in the description below, so you guys, if you guys are interested to read them, you guys definitely should, because they are so worth it, and they honestly open your, if it's not because you have gone through this, it's because it opens your eyes to a different thing, different perspective, I should say. But this is where I'm at today, like, because I found compassion for myself. Like, it helped me not only understand where my codependency came, my people pleasing tendency came from, but also to not be ashamed of that, because like those things just came to like protect me, and those things came to help me, and I fell in love with those things at the end of the day, because I had to, because that's a part of me, and that will never not be a part of me. And aparte de eso, therapy really helped me at the end of the day. What I really lacked was boundaries, and not knowing how to set a boundary was very important, because a lot I thought I had boundaries, but I really didn't, you know. Because I felt rude. I was like, but we're being mean, but like that's mean. But it wasn't mean to pick me, you know. It wasn't mean. With that being said, guys, I don't regret, or I'm not angry, and I don't feel that shame or guilt within myself that I once did, because I ultimately ended up loving those parts of me, because it allowed me to finally grow to love my own company. It helped me get my own place. It helped me take that big step, honestly. And this space is also like a miracle and a blessing. That's another story that I can share too. And it honestly had helped me get my intro to my podcast. Had I not gone through that experience, we wouldn't be here sitting, you know, and talking. And I hope you guys enjoy my first mother-decking episode of Vibin with Yuriz, and I hope you guys can come with me through this journey, because this is gonna be great, and I can't wait for you guys to meet all the people that I plan to invite, because honestly, all these people are so amazing in their own way, and the experiences and the way they are so ambitious is so chef kiss, and I'm so excited. So thank you. With that being said, this Activa is out, and I love you guys, and subscribe. I really said that.